The 7th century. Islam begins in Arabia. The Quran is documented. The spread of Islam and the Muslim conquests began with the unification of Arabia by Prophet Muhammad starting in 622. After Muhammad's death in 632, Islam expanded beyond the Arabian Peninsula under the Rashidun Caliphate, 632 to 661, and the Umayyad Caliphate, 661 to 750. The Muslim conquest of Persia in the 7th century led to the downfall of the Sasanian Empire. Also, conquered during the 7th century was Syria, Palestine, Armenia, Egypt, and North Africa. The Byzantine Empire continued suffering setbacks during the rapid expansion of the Muslim Empire. In China, the Sui dynasty was replaced by the Tang dynasty, which set up its military bases from Korea to Central Asia, and was next to the Umayyads later. China began to reach its peak. Silla allied itself with the Tang dynasty, subduing Baekje and defeating Goguryeo to unite the Korean Peninsula under one ruler. The Asuka period persisted in Japan throughout the 7th century. Harsha united northern India, which had reverted to small republics and states after the fall of the Gupta Empire in the 6th century. Teotihuacan, a flourishing pre-Columbian city, is sacked. The Bulgars arrive in the Balkans, establishment of the powerful Bulgarian Empire. Smallpox spreads from India into Europe. Heraclius arrives by ship from Africa at Constantinople, overthrows Eastern Roman Emperor Phocas and becomes emperor. His first major act is to change the official language of the Eastern Roman Empire from Latin to Greek, which was already the language of the vast majority of the population. The first Chinese paper money is issued. 8th century. The coast of North Africa and the Iberian Peninsula quickly came under Islamic Arab domination. The westward expansion of the Umayyad Empire was famously halted at the siege of Constantinople by the Byzantine Empire and the Battle of Tours by the Franks. The tide of Arab conquest came to an end in the middle of the 8th century. In Europe, late in the century, the Vikings, seafaring peoples from Scandinavia, begin raiding the coasts of Europe and the Mediterranean, and go on to found several important kingdoms. In Asia, the Pala Empire is founded in Bengal. The Tang dynasty reaches its peak under Chinese Emperor Xuanzong. The Nara period begins in Japan. Classical Maya civilization begins to decline. The Bulgarians and the Byzantines decisively defeat the invading Arabs, thus halting the Arab advance toward Europe. Battle of Tours. Near Poitiers, France, leader of the Franks Charles Martel and his men defeat a large army of Moors under the governor of Córdoba, Abdul Rahman al-Ghafiqi, who is killed during the battle. The Battle of Tours halts the advance of Islam into Western Europe and establishes a balance of power between Western Europe, Islam and the Byzantine Empire. The 9th century. The field of algebra was founded by the Muslim polymath al-Khwarizmi. Britain experienced a great influx of Viking peoples in the 9th century as the Viking Age continued from the previous century. Ireland was also affected by the Viking expansion across the North Sea. Extensive raids were carried out all along the coast and eventually, permanent settlements were established, such as that of Dublin in 841. Scotland also experienced significant Viking incursions during the 9th century. The Vikings established themselves in coastal regions, usually in northern Scotland, and in the northern islands such as Orkney and Shetland. Large-scale Viking attacks on Europe begin, devastating countless numbers of people. The first Norse settlers arrive on Iceland. An unknown event causes the decline of the Maya classical era. The House of Wisdom, a library and translation institute established in Baghdad by al-Ma'mun, allowed for the transfer of knowledge from Greeks, Persians, Indians, etc. to the Muslim world, later destroyed by the Mongol invaders of 1258 by the Mongol invaders. 11,000 Saracen Arab squadrons from Africa, with 500 horses, desecrate Christian shrines in Rome, including the tombs and basilicas. The west bank of the Tiber is annexed into the city of Rome. A defensive wall, commissioned by Pope Leo IV, is built around what came to be called the Leonine city as a defensive response to the Saracen desecration of Rome in 846. The medieval warm period begins.